his commitment to reform state judiciary to the envy of the country. Court remands 7 suspected thugs over possession of firearms in Edo State. While candidate tests positive for COVID-19 in Akwa Ibom.
On business, National Bureau of Statistics confirms Nigeria's GDP decline. And in sports, Ronaldinho freed after fake passport charge in Paraguay.
Details of these and more after this break. I am Godslove, Orlando. State Governor Godwin Obaseki says his administration is still committed to reforming the state judiciary to make it the envy of all in the country. Governor Obaseki reiterated the commitment on Monday while inaugurating 4 members of Edo State Judicial Service Commission in Government House. He said the physical aspect of the reform has since commenced, imploring the newly inaugurated members to use their wealth of experience to drive the non-physical aspects of the reform.
We're in a world where everything is changing, so we should not be afraid of pursuing change and reform, even at its core. That's the only way we can respond to what we're witnessing today. But I have no doubt, looking at the pedigree, the past experience of each and every one of you, that you are capable to undertake the functions which we expect of you for the appointments, and to assure you that as the executive arm of government, it is in our interest to strengthen the judicial system. Without law and order, our democracy cannot stand. And we'll be looking up to you to help in this process.
He urged them to look into the issues of competitiveness in the remuneration of the judicial workers so as to eliminate the challenges of retention of quality staff and corruption in the system.
As a government in Edo State, are committed to ensuring that we build a judiciary that is second to none in this country. We have started with the first part of renewing the infrastructure, the judiciary in the state as a first step. But core to any fundamental renewal or reform is the issues that have to deal with the people in the system. In the post-COVID world where technology will now matter and determine largely how we interact, I'm hoping that as part of the fundamental reforms that will be taking place in the judicial system, particularly in the state, this commission will be at the forefront, ensuring that the human capacity in the judiciary as a whole is attuned and trained and prepared for the significant changes that we have now begun to witness.
Members of the Judicial Service Commission inaugurated are Barrister Bamidele Edopai, Mustafa Abubakar, Professor Anthony Ogbebu, and Felicia Ogbeide. In a related development, Governor Obaseki also inaugurated 5 commissioners. 3 of the 5 commissioners were members of Edo State Oil and Gas Producing Area Development Commission, Edo SPADEC, while 2 were civil commissioners. The civil commissioners are Lawrence Ogeva and Alex Oleji. Members of the Edo SPADEC are Honorable Imodagwe Abdullahi, Honorable Daniel Enebi, and Charles Aidea. The commissioners were appointed to replace some who resigned their appointments last month. Still in Edo State, the People's Democratic Party in the state will commence its word-to-word campaign in Edo South Senatorial District today after completing the tour of Edo North and Central. The chairman of Edo State PDP Governorship Election Campaign Council, Chief Dan Obi, who disclosed this on Monday, said the tour will take the format used by the party as Edo North and Central to reach the electorates.
We have concluded the campaign tour of Edo Central Senatorial District, and the response was quite good. And we will be starting that of Edo South Senatorial District tomorrow morning. And I believe, just like we've done in the other 2 senatorial districts, we are going to move from word to word, taking the message to the people, letting them know that this election is about them and about their future.
The party also unveiled reacting to the allegation by the All Progressives Congress, APC, that their governorship candidate, Governor Godwin Obaseki, was behind the decision of former Governor Adams Oshomole to suspend the Onoje of Uromi. Chief Obi clarified that such narrative was opposite of what truly happened. They said Comrade Oshomole was the executive governor of the state at the time he took the decision and should not blame it on anyone.
Issuing statements suggesting that the suspension of the Onoje of Uromi was at the instance of the current governor of the state. I want to say quite clearly here that at the time the Onoje of Uromi was suspended, Oshomole was still the governor of the state. The person that lifted that suspension was the current governor. So they should go back and check their facts right. So all they should do is to go with his candidates to the Onoje of Uromi's palace and kneel down and beg him for forgiveness. There is no point trying to change the story.
The party also unveiled an electronic billboard with wide screen mounted on top of the old African Continental Bank building located at Upper Sakwamba Road, Ring Road. According to the party, the screen will enable residents and supporters follow the campaign activities of the governor as clips and other campaign material will air on the digital billboard screen. Edo State Deputy Governor Comrade Philip Shaibu has called on the presidency and security agencies to look into allegations by the All Progressives Congress that he plans to attack his own convoy. Briefing journalists after submitting copies of petitions to Edo State Police Command and Directorate State Security, Comrade Shaibu noted that contrary to allegations against him, the former national chairman of the APC is the one who is plotting to destabilize the peace of the state. He called for an investigation into the allegations and arrest should they fail to prove the allegation.
These people should be arrested and investigated, and they must be able to tell how the planned attack was orchestrated and those behind the planned attack. Failure to do that, they should be prosecuted for spreading falsehood and things that are capable of destabilizing the peace of Edo. As peace-loving Edo people and government, we will continue to sustain this peace that we already have in Edo. Never again shall our people not be able to move freely like it was in the past. We are not returning back to the old days where you are molested on the street, you cannot drive your car on the street, some thugs will be harassing you. That era is.
The Deputy Governor also called on parents and youth not to give in to pressure from politicians to resort to violence.
We are continually telling our young ones not to resort to violence because violence has been wiped out in this state since the inception of this administration. Edo people have peace now, and that peace we are ready to sustain. And I'm using this occasion also to advise our young ones and parents, please monitor your children, check what they are doing. For the youth, we have a future together. Don't allow yourself to be used for violence. Anybody going to involve you in shooting does not mean well for you. Say no young man in Edo State should, in my name, go to attack anybody. And anybody found attacking, the law enforcement agency should do their work.
He said the petition and call for investigation became necessary in the light of recent political actions and utterances attributed to some political actors in the state ahead of the September 19th governorship election. Still in Edo State, the State High Court sitting in Benin City presided over by a vacation judge on Monday remanded in police custody 7 persons that were rounded up by the police for allegedly in possession of firearms during the recent crisis that engulfed the State House of Assembly. It occurred when 17 factional lawmakers were accused of attempting to invade the House. The suspects were arrested on August 6th within the premises of the Edo Assembly complex with 5 double-barrel long guns, 2 single-barrel long guns, and 10 live cartridges. The presiding judge, Justice Efe Ipomoba, ordered that the suspects be remanded in police custody till 3rd of September. Barrister Matthias Obayuwana told the court that there was an enrollment order directed by IG, adding that suspects were bided to have appeared in court on Tuesday, August 25th for hearing and not Monday. Obayuwana said he was shocked that the prosecuting counsel brought the suspect to court, but the prosecutor said he was not aware of such order. Justice Ipomoba, however, adjourned the sitting to August 25th for originating motion with respect of enforcement of fundamental human rights. KUFM News Dawn continues right after this break. Please stay with us.
Beautiful one, I call on you today.
Bless you.
This not become a bless you. This season when we say coronavirus, when they show itself for the world, now time to use tissue paper or handkerchief. Take cover your mouth or nose when you cough or sneeze. This is not time to always wash your hand. Use hand sanitizer wey contain better alcohol. This is not time to give ears as in avoid me. Give me space to any person where they cough or sneeze. This is not time to protect yourself or neighbors from sickness. So if you notice anything, sharp, carry yourself for the person go hospital or call this number free of charge. You're not going to collect money for your hand. That is toll-free number for 080 00 26 7662. 080 00 26 7662. The first thing bring this other number for 080 09 70 00010. Remember, say life now says coronavirus not the show for face and person with their life will carry first to. This message is from KUFM 2.7. We call on you today. Come feel this place today.
Welcome back. It's still News Dawn on 92.7 KUFM, and now to the rest of the news. The federal government on Monday began the evacuation of about 241 Nigerians who had been trapped in China. The president of Nigerians in Diaspora Organization East China, Elijah Odi, stated this in a short message in Abuja. Odi said there was a possibility that not all those currently at the airport would be allowed to board, as some were yet to complete checking in. He also stated that some Nigerians who went for studies in China were concluding their graduation. The Director General and CEO of Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Dr. Bashir Jamo, has commended the Nigerian Navy for the successful enforcement of the new anti-piracy law in the country. This was disclosed by Navy Director of Information, Commodore Suleiman Dahun, in a statement on Monday in Abuja. Jamo noted that the Navy had exhibited a high level of professionalism and expertise in collaboration with NIMASA, especially in the enforcement of the Nigeria Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act 2019. He further appreciated the service for keeping with its traditions and ensuring safer maritime boundaries and internal waters to the benefit of the country and the international community. And now to Lagos State, where the Senate of the University of Lagos has elected Professor Folashade Ogunshola as acting Vice Chancellor. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, Development Services, polled 135 votes compared to the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Management Services, Professor Ben Owojafor, who got 31 votes. It was gathered that one vote was declared void and a total of 167 professors were at the Senate meeting. Ogunshola was the first woman to be Provost College of Medicine, University of Lagos, before she became DVC. In an educational sector, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel, says a student writing the ongoing West African Examination Council (WAEC) examination in the state has tested positive for COVID-19. Emmanuel, who made the disclosure in a media chat in Uyo, did not mention the name of the student and the school involved. The governor said normal precautions have been taken to avoid spread. He, however, said the state government has begun random testing of students for the virus in secondary schools across the state. Talks between West African nations and Mali's new junta ended on Monday without a deal on how the country should return to civilian rule following last week's coup. They said that the overthrown president, Ibrahim Keita, whose return to office had been initially demanded by the regional bloc, ECOWAS, no longer wished to resume duties. The August 18 coup triggered shockwaves among Mali's neighbors, fearing that one of the region's most volatile countries would spiral into chaos. The 15-nation economic community of West African states sent a high-level delegation to Bamako on Saturday, led by former Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan, to press its demands for the immediate return to constitutional order. The talks have focused on the transition to civilian rule. Jonathan said they have agreed on a number of issues, but there are some issues that they have not agreed. Coming up in a moment on our business news. Nigeria's gross domestic product (GDP) has dropped by 6.10% in the second quarter of the year, against 8.22 percent points in second quarter, from 2.12% recorded in the second quarter in 2019. Charles Operum brings you more on our business news.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 600 billion, and the last kobo. Oh yes, we follow the money. It's all about the business and the business of business. The gains and the losses. The bulls and bears. The rise and falls. The risk and the satisfaction of seeing the last kobo rise to millions. On KUFM's Business News, the simple and complex jargons of business just make sense. Get the trending news on the morning market, forecast, investment opportunities, policy changes, and other breakout information on the ever-busy world of business. KU Business News, Monday to Friday on our news dawn, 6:30 to 7 a.m.
Welcome to business. Nigeria's gross domestic product (GDP) has declined to minus 6.10% in the second quarter of the year, as non-oil GDP records first fall by 6.05% since third quarter of 2017. In its GDP report for second quarter of 2020 released yesterday, the National Bureau of Statistics said that the decline in GDP was largely attributable to significantly lower levels of both domestic and international economic activity during the quarter, which resulted from the nationwide shutdown. According to the Bureau, year-on-year GDP fell by 8.22 percentage points in second quarter, from 2.12% recorded in second quarter in 2019. NBS noted that the oil sector and non-oil sector contributed 8.93% and 91.07% respectively to real GDP during the quarter, as only 13 activities recorded positive real growth compared to 30 in the preceding quarter. The report showed that real growth of the oil sector was minus 6.63% in the second quarter of 2020, indicating a decrease of 13.8 percentage points relative to 7.17% recorded in the corresponding quarter of 2019. Similarly, Nigeria's agricultural sector experienced a 1.58% decline in the second quarter of 2020 owing to disruptions in the food supply chain caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. On a year-on-year basis, the agri sector growth rate decreased marginally by 0.21 percentage points to 1.58% in the second quarter in 2020 from 1.79% in the second quarter of 2019. On a quarter-on-quarter basis, growth in the sector declined by 0.62% from 2.2% growth rate recorded in the first quarter of 2020. The country's agricultural activities were greatly impacted as the imposition of an initial lockdown to contain the spread of the virus that has infected 52,237 people and claimed the lives of 2,002 people in Africa's most populous country obstructed the farming supply system. The federal government says it has released 614.92 billion naira for the payment of accrued rights for retired Nigerians under contributory pension scheme. The National Pension Commission, or PENCOM, confirmed the release on Monday via its verified official Twitter handle. PENCOM said the amount covers 4 months arrears. The accrued pension rights are employees' benefits for the past years of service up to the country from June 2004, when the Pension Reform Act became law. Before Monday's release of the fund, these retirees under the contributory pension scheme supervised by the National Pension Commission had cried out over the delay in the remittance of their pension accrued rights, which they say had lingered over 1 year. The retirees under the Association of Retired Police Officers under the contributory pension scheme brought their plight to public knowledge last year when they demanded for better treatment from the government. And finally, on business, the Minister of Power, Engineer Saleh Maman, said the ministry has secured a total of 6.150 billion naira to boost power supply in the country. Engineer Maman noted that under his leadership, he was reforming the sector's infrastructure, which cannot utilize its generation capacity of over 12,000 megawatts, and incurred over 254 billion naira as cost of unutilized capacity. The minister had earlier developed a document articulating the milestones of the minister, which includes recording 5,420.30 megawatts peak electricity generation on the national grid in August 2020. He said the ministry is also implementing a $1.6 billion transmission rehabilitation and expansion program through TCN with funding from development partners World Bank. Key projects impacted include Aloji Onitsha and Kaduna Kanu Power Line, among others. The Zungeru hydroelectric power plant worth $1.2 billion will generate 700 megawatts. And that's it on business. Over now to sports, where Ronaldinho is free to return to Brazil after agreeing guilty plea over fake passport charge in Paraguay. More to come in our sports bulletin. And on sports this morning, the 40-year-old former AC Milan and Barcelona star Ronaldinho is free to return home to Brazil after living under house arrest for a little under 5 months in Paraguay. Ronaldinho had been arrested in March alongside his brother Roberto Assis on charges of entering Paraguay with false passports. In April, they were released from prison after lawyers posted a $1.6 million bail on their behalf, and they were placed under house arrest in a hotel in Asunción to await trial. The pair had faced up to 5 years behind bars if convicted. Both brothers have pleaded guilty to entering the country with fake passports as part of their agreement. Ronaldinho has paid a fine of $90,000, while Assis has been fined $110,000. While Assis will now have a criminal record in Paraguay, Ronaldinho will not. Assis is not permitted to leave Brazil for 2 years and must periodically present himself to Brazilian authorities in Rio de Janeiro during that 24-month span. The former Barcelona, AC Milan and PSG star is now free to return to Brazil, and reports claim that he can leave at any time if he makes officials aware of how long he will be out of the country. Elsewhere, Nigeria forward Victor Osimhen is thrilled to start pre-season training with Serie A club Napoli. He was part of a 34-man squad that trained on Monday afternoon at the Castel di Sangro. Osimhen later tweeted, "Good training session with the lads." Napoli will spend 11 days at their training base in Castel di Sangro, where they will take part in a 3-team friendly on August 28th. Gennaro Gattuso's side will then face Teramo in another friendly on Friday, September 4th. Osimhen linked up with Napoli from Ligue 1 club Lille last month. The 21-year-old scored 18 goals and recorded 6 assists in 38 appearances across all competitions for the Great Danes. And that's it on sports. I'm Charles Opodun. Back to you, Orlando.
Thank you so much, Charles, and that's the news. But before we go, let's take a quick recap of the headlines. Governor Obaseki expressed his commitment to reform state judiciary to the envy of the country. Court remands 7 suspected thugs over possession of firearms in Edo State. And finally, on News Done this morning, wire candidates test positive for COVID-19 in Akwa Ibom. Please do remember that the continued unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Coronavirus is real. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water. Use your face mask while in public places. And please stay safe. Don't forget you can listen to us anywhere in the world, either by visiting our website at www.kufm.net, or you can download our KU mobile app from the Google Play Store. Remember, we're also live on YouTube at KUFM Nigeria. KUFM's News Done was produced by Musahai Oadiai. I am God's Love, Orlando, saying thanks for listening and good morning.
Turn us up. 92.7.